Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.
Now, here's a subject close to my heart, or close to my chest, or close to my lungs, whatever you want to put it. As we all know, smoking is not good for you. And I've proven that point directly to you on the air over the last 4 weeks because I have had a chest infection and a flu and a cold, which lasted about 2 or 3 weeks. Unfortunately, the cough part of it is still lingering. Not as bad, thankfully, as it was. It's just about nearly gone. But it still catches me every now and again. And that's probably because I'm a smoker, which is not a good thing. And I am determined to give them up. I stupidly bought cigarettes while I was away. As you remember, I was away on holiday for 3 weeks. And I stupidly bought duty free, which I still have. I don't have very many left now at this stage. But I have promised myself that when the duty free is gone, I do this every time, that I won't buy any more. Anyway, we heard today that the Irish Heart Foundation wants to see the cost of 20 cigarettes increased to €20 a pack. Now, they've done this in other countries. As far as I know, Canada and Australia did something similar. It says there's now conclusive evidence increasing the cost is the most effective way of stopping young people from smoking. It also says that Ireland's tobacco-free policy has failed miserably and that smoking rates among teenagers are up for the first time in a generation. This is also very disappointing to hear. There's no question about that. Now, I'm a smoker, as you all know, and €20 a pack is incredible. 15 quid is bad enough. And even at that, you kind of cringe. You feel stupid every time you pay the 15 quid. But would it work? Or would it put those who are vulnerable in a more vulnerable situation? Because there are people, let's say, example, single mum, struggling, 3 kids, stressed out of her mind. Maybe she feels cigarettes are her only comfort. She doesn't have too much money. She's not going to stop smoking, probably. What will happen is they'll do without something else. So that's a £5 a day extra. That's, 35 quid a week extra out of her money. Maybe she might be on a social welfare payment, whatever it is. Something is going to suffer, most likely food on the table. So imagine spending 20 quid. When you think about it, that's 140 a week. That's 560 a month. That is a rent. Well, we'd love it if it was a rent, but you know what I mean. It's not really a rent. You need to put up to 50 quid a pack to make a rent out of it in this country. But anyway, you get the point I'm making anyway. You'd buy a car, you'd get a nice car per month, a car payment for a really nice car for 500 a month. You'd get like a Merc for 500 quid a month over 4 or 5 years. Like, that's incredible what we're throwing away. You get a nice holiday every year to some really exotic place for that kind of money. Like, it's stupid. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I walk into a shop now, thankfully I've had these duty free, which cost me a third of what they'd cost here. But when I walk into a shop and hand over 15 quid for a packet of cigarettes, I feel like a heel. I feel like a tick. I'm spending 15 quid to damage my own health. It makes no sense whatsoever. But I do it. And I've done it. But I'm going to stop. I would encourage you all to work with me and do it with me. Maybe we could get some sort of group together. Anyway, 20 quid a pack. Do you think the government should increase the price of cigarettes to 20 quid a pack to put it out of the reach of young people in particular? Because that's what we're kind of focused on here, is young people. Let me know what you think. The number is 087 188 0008. I normally don't agree with increasing the cost of anything. But on this occasion, I might, if you convince me. Padraig, hi, how are you?
Niall, your superstar is all ears.
Yeah, Padraig, you're unbelievable, aren't you?
Niall, listen, by the way, you better have a chat with that boss of yours. Tell him I'm on Revolut now. And just tell him my agent will be in touch shortly.
Because you're box office, Padraig. Box office. Actually,
You
at this
better
point,
believe it, babe.
you're pay-per-view at this stage.
You better believe it, baby.
Padraig, the price of a pack of cigarettes at the moment is 15 quid. Do you smoke?
I'm often I used to, Niall. I'm often 30 years. I've had all a bit like yourself, Niall. I've had all the vices. Still have some of them, but that's one vice I gave up 30 years ago.
I only have the one. I don't drink, so I only have the one vice, which is cigarettes.
Yeah, well, you can go down the road of gambling, women. There's various vices, Niall,
Oh yeah, I've read. Jane reminded me. I've also Red Bull as a bit of a vice. I like me Red Bulls.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, you could be doing worse than that now. Now, Niall, I just say to my listenership, I might have to leave you abruptly shortly because I'm at the moment waiting to pick up my daughter from work, and I have to drive shortly, Niall. But I'm all ears at the moment.
Okay, would putting them up to 20 quid, would it actually, now think about young people here, because according to the Heart Foundation, putting it up to 20 quid would put it out of the reach of young people. Would that be a good idea?
Yeah. Well, maybe. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Niall. Are most of the kids vaping these days? Not just kids.
You are right. A lot of them are vaping, but for the first time this year, actually the first time in a generation this year, the amount of children smoking, when I say children under 18s, has actually increased for the first time in a whole generation.
Yeah, but what percentage now? What percentage?
I don't. It doesn't actually give the facts. It just says it's up, according to the Heart Foundation. And I think the reason for that is that kids 13 or 14, 15 years of age are vaping. They think it's cool, and then they try cigarettes. I think vaping leads on to smoking in some cases.
Well, Niall, as you know, I'm your vintage. But I remember my parents and everybody's parents smoked. You want to go back to the old black and white? It was sexy to smoke. Everybody smoked. There was no health issue. There was no health warnings. Hence, everybody smoked. And but my generation smoked. Your generation, because there was no health warnings. All of a sudden, then you were addicted. When did health warning came out? Correct me if I'm wrong, Niall. Maybe the 80s, did they? The 90s?
Yeah, probably around the end of the 80s or the middle 80s, mid 80s. Yeah.
But at this juncture, most people were addicted to it. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Niall. It took me 2 years to pack them up. I found it very hard. Alcohol, I could take out. Niall, I can go to a wedding, have 15 pints tomorrow. I wouldn't drink again for a month. Doesn't bother me. Cigarettes took me 2 years to pack them up. I done it by willpower. I had an uncle actually took acupuncture. That worked for him. I appreciate it's very hard to pack them up now, but luckily for me, I'm off in 30 years. Getting back to younger people, I think most older people smoked. So I think really a lot of people, I don't think it's really an issue. I think, excuse me, I think the vaping is much more an issue, Niall, and there's a lot worse things going on as regards to cocaine, drugs. I mean, you see the seizure with the ship the other day, cocaine. There was a survey, I was watching the TV yesterday, it was TV AM. Under 35s, 2 in 3 people in Ireland are taking cocaine.
That's crazy, isn't it?
2 out of about between 35 and 45, 1 in 3 are taking cocaine. Ironically, over 55, only 95% of people over 55 are not taking it. Hence, 5% are taking it. But it's a generation thing. I appreciate that. But I to be honest with you, Niall, I think cocaine is a much bigger problem than cigarettes.
Yeah, I think, young people smoking weed and cocaine is probably become a huge problem. It is epidemic at this stage. And it is quite sad because it's going to destroy their lives. But smoking will equally destroy their lives as well, Padraig. And, and I'm admitting that as a smoker. It's not good for your health. There is no doubt about that. There's no jury. No. And I've got people come on the air and go, oh, the jury's out on that. The jury is not out on it. It's not good for your health. End of story.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Niall. You've tried to pack them up.
I did.
You packed them up? You did?
Yeah, I went off them. I was off them for 3 years.
3 years? So why did you go back on them?
Because I ended up getting separated and divorced. And I went through quite a stressful period in my life.
Stress. Okay.
Yeah. So, stupidly, I went back on them. It was a bit of a crutch, I suppose. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. But no. Some people get. Look, I knew a member of the family. She was 90. She smoked. She died. She lived to 90. She smoked since she was 16.
I know.
There's an odd person. Some people get away with it now. It depends on your
metabolism and the way. I think it's. I remember reading about this before, and doctors were explaining. It all depends on the way people smoke, the way they inhale it. It depends on their metabolism, and there's a lot involved in that. Yeah, and I was the same. My granddad was 98 when he died, and he smoked 60 players untipped every single day, as well as drinking whiskey.
And they'd kill a horse. Yeah, but just showed you, just didn't kill him. No, but look, it depends on everybody's, like you say, different metabolism. Yeah. And at the end of the day, now it's a look at a draw. But look, there's no doubt about it. Because I'll be honest with you, Niall, when I was packed them up when I was 30, and I couldn't run for a bus. I was a young man. I couldn't run. I said, Jesus Christ, I can't go on like this. But I see, Niall, the problem was my situation. I'd be at work. I might smoke 5 all day. I go out at night, I smoke 60. Yeah. So really, it was crazy stuff. But anyway, look, I was 30. I had to factor. I had no choice, so I did. And I'll be honest
Good
with you,
man.
Niall, I feel fit. I'm your age now. I feel fit as a fiddle. You know.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm delighted to hear that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, apart from this cold I've had for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I feel reasonably fit for my age. I'm 60 years of age last week. And, you know, I feel reasonably fit for my age. But I could be a lot fitter if I didn't smoke. I know that. But, okay, so €20 a pack. Do you think it's a good idea to put them up?
Well, if it's going to help, Niall, probably yes.
Okay, stay there. Pauline, hi.
Hi, Niall.
You heard Patrick. If it's going to help, put them up.
No, don't put them up. They're only putting them up to cause people to feel depressed. Everybody needs some little outlet, everything in moderation. Peg Sarah smoked a pipe. Who was that man talking about was in their 90s? Everything in moderation is no harm. They're only doing it to cause more difficulty, more oppression, more depression. All these restrictions, all this crap that's going on about COVID.
Well, hang on. Now, to be clear, the Irish government haven't announced this. This is the Irish Heart Foundation are recommending it to the government.
Yeah.
Because the evidence shows in other countries where they've done this, it's reduced the amount of young people taking up cigarettes.
Yeah, I don't believe any of all the statistics are only.
Well, you can believe it if you want, but it's true. You know what I mean?
It isn't true. If
it is true.
They're telling the science is true. And
No, I mean, what is true is that we have an increase in young people under the age of 18 smoking cigarettes for the first time in a generation. I mean, that's not a good story, is it?
I haven't observed that. What I have.
Well, you mightn't have observed it, but it's true, Pauline.
Why? Because somebody else said it.
No, because what they do is they do research and they do questionnaires and they'll sample 2,000 people.
And I just told you, I don't believe the data because it's all tampered with, and I don't believe the science. It's all warped. My observation.
So you do not believe any science, Pauline, at all? Is everybody lying to you?
Well, we talk about the COVID and SARS and their.
No, forget about the COVID. We were talking about COVID a few minutes ago. Forget about COVID. I'm asking you a question. Do you not believe any science at all?
Well, science is just a collection of data, an experiment.
Absolutely. No, with this research from the Irish Heart Foundation, the way it's done is they will research and they will sample maybe 2,000 people, young people under the age of 18, and they'll ask them, do you smoke? How often do you smoke? How many do you smoke? And they'll compile data, and it's in nobody's interest that they lie. I mean, nobody's going to make any money out of this because they don't want people to smoke because they're a foundation for they care about people's hearts.
Yeah, well, if I were the member of the Heart Foundation who had this idea where cigarettes are concerned, what I would do is target the production companies who produce them and ask them to put less of the chemicals into them than they are and more tobacco, and that would cause less problems.
But you know why the chemicals are there, don't you?
No. To burn them up faster, for sure, I know that.
It's to keep
in
them.
one case.
It's to keep them burning and also to stop them. Do you remember years ago when your dad would have a cigarette and you'd fall asleep on the sofa?
No,
well, maybe not your dad, but somebody you knew, an uncle or something,
and my
or an
mother
auntie.
smoked OPs.
Okay, so they'd fall asleep and then maybe the cigarette would be in the ashtray or whatever, and the cigarette would burn from one end to the other, all the way. There'd be like this long ash. That doesn't happen anymore. And the reason it doesn't happen is because the accelerants they put in the cigarettes are different now to stop that from happening, because governments of the world did get involved and said, listen, there's too many house fires. You need to figure out how to stop these cigarettes from burning all the way. So they spray different chemicals on them now to make that extinguish itself after a short period of time if you don't pull on it. Now, involved in those chemicals is arsenic, as you know, is one of the chemicals, because it's arsenic is an accelerant. So they use those. So you're right, there's about 6,000 or so chemicals, I believe, combinations of sprayed on cigarettes, on tobacco leaves, to make them burn properly. Yeah.
But it's mixed with just the tobacco. But if I were the Irish Heart Foundation, I would be suggesting, if for those who have the right and choice in moderation, if they wish, or otherwise, to have a cigarette like my mum used to have, who died at 94. We used to call her the OP smoker, other people's cigarette smoker. She'd have the odd. But I would be advising them to stop putting the amount of chemicals into those that are available and stop putting up the prices of food, fuel, electricity.
Okay, and if they stop putting the chemicals, Pauline, can I just interrupt you?
Yeah.
If they stop putting the chemicals in and they just made cigarettes out of pure tobacco, right? Let's work with that, okay?
Yeah.
They're still not good for your health.
Well, they don't do most people any harm.
Would you stop out of that, Pauline?
But No,
I'm
I
a
hope
smoker. I know. I'm a smoker. Of course, it does you
What do you
harm.
smoke?
What?
What do you smoke?
I smoke Marlboro.
Yeah, well, why don't you try roll your own pure tobacco?
I
You
don't
won't
want.
get
No,
any
I don't want.
cancer.
I don't want to smoke anymore. I want to give them up.
Well, then you stick with your chemicals. But my point is, if I were the Irish Heart Foundation, I would be suggesting to the producers of the cigarettes to put less chemicals in them and to stop interfering every authority in this country, every whatever there is, the government that we didn't elect, by the way.
But the reason they're doing it, there's a good reason why they want to do this.
No, they find a good reason.
No, but
But
hang on. But the reason is that it's not going to affect. Well, if I say it's not going to affect older people, of course it does, because it makes it difficult for them to buy cigarettes if they're addicted. But for
they
younger
can't go.
people, it puts them off starting to smoke if they're that expensive.
Smoking around, I believe smoking around children will encourage them to smoke. They
Yeah.
think nothing of it. That's
Of course.
what I believe.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
my experience. We were never allowed to have a cigarette around children. But what my point is...
Oh, we did years ago, Pauline, in my day. My mother and father smoked 100 cigarettes between them in the house. You know?
Yeah, but they didn't think it was any harm in that.
No, they
But there
didn't.
were less chemicals. But I'm telling you, if they put less of the chemicals into our foods, into everything, we'd all be better off.
Oh, no,
The Heart
I
Foundation
agree.
should probably concentrate on that.
Well, no, and they do, by the way. The Heart Foundation, on a regular basis, talk about other things and about e-numbers and chemicals and pesticides that are put into foods. They regularly talk about those things, about eating too much red meat. The Heart Foundation do talk about all of those things.
No, they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. We need red meat and all this pushing carbs on people with oil.
No, you do. I'm. By the way, I'm not against red meat. I love a steak, but some people unfortunately overconsume red meat, and the jury is not out on this. If you overconsume red meat, it's not good for your heart.
No, rubbish, wrong.
It's not. It's not wrong, Pauline. If you overconsume, I mean, everything in moderation. It's like if you overconsume sugar, it's not good for your body. If you overconsume anything, it's not good for you. I'll come to John in a second. Pauline, I'll get you back there in a second. Oh, cheapers. I can spend all day talking to Pauline. I think she has a theory on everything. I want to know, do you think it's a good idea? For the first time, think about this, right, and how sad this is. For the first time in a generation, there's an increase in people under the age of 18 taking up smoking. For the first time in a generation, an increase in people taking up smoking. Wow. Isn't that really something that we should be worried about? For the sake of our young people. And whatever action we take on that, we have to take action. So the Heart Foundation has said, well, the best action to take, we found, and there's conclusive evidence from other countries around the world that have done this, is increase the price. And by increasing the price, it puts young people off smoking. I want to know if you think it's a good idea. Now, as I said, the downside to it, of course, is that when you increase the price, it affects everybody, not just the young people. So it doesn't just put young people off smoking, but obviously it affects everybody. So you've got older people who maybe don't have a huge amount of money, who smoke and are addicted to smoking cigarettes, and they in turn can't afford to do it anymore. Or what will happen is something else will suffer. I.e., for example, maybe they'll put less food on the table. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, you know, they're kind of vulnerable people, or those vulnerable people in society, you know, maybe who wouldn't be working, be on social welfare, whatever. So instead of buying, you know, less cigarettes, they'll just buy less food. I want to know what you think. The number, as usual, is 087 188 0008. John, hi, how are you? John, hi.
Is that me?
No, how many Johns is there on the air right now?
I think you got a few. There's a few on tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, but how many's on the air right now?
Well, you got me. So who's the other one?
It's just you, John. Go for it.
Is it just me? Is it?
No, yeah, go for it, John. What do you want to say?
Good evening, Radio Land. There you
Oh,
go.
Jesus Christ.
Now, what was I going to say?
What is
Yeah,
is with all you callers thinking yous are superstars?
Well, you know what it says there, Niall. I mean, without us now, you know, you wouldn't have a show.
I wouldn't have a job. You're right, John.
Like, you wouldn't have a job if you didn't have somebody come on and going, good evening, patrons, and good evening, Radio Land, and all the rest of it. You just wouldn't have a show.
Yeah. Okay, so, John, putting up the price of cigarettes.
Superstardom.
Putting up the price of cigarettes. Is it a good idea to discourage people from smoking?
No, and I'll tell you why. The Heart Foundation, I think, is full of shit. For the simple reason is the research that you're talking about, that's probably written by AI. You know, artificial intelligence.
We just stop
and
out
it's
of
put there. Oh, no,
what's
come on,
wrong
Niall.
with us all tonight? Is they're all like conspiracy theorists tonight?
No, think about it, Niall. Think about it, Niall. Every report today that's written, go back 20 years ago, you might say, okay, they might have done a bit of research around it. But today, you put a report around AI and you could come up with any amount of liberal bullshit today that the Heart Foundation's going on with.
It's not.
And this is
Hang on.
the
It's
point
not.
that-
Hang on. It's not bullshit. This is
is
research.
bullshit.
No, hang on. It's research that they've done, but it's in nobody. It's not in their interest to tell us these things. Do you know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. Well, here's the
You know what I
thing,
mean? They're telling us because they're concerned.
Anybody can go out and say they done research and they spoke to this and they spoke to that and they done this, research here and there.
But
And
they
everywhere.
did.
The fact is, they probably went out and done nothing and just said, you know what?
Aha,
we'll
you
make
just
this
made
shit
it up.
and just pour out.
Yeah, you just made it up.
Just made it up and pour out. Because if you think about it now, this government, this so-called self-elected government today, wants to ban everything that they can try and ban.
Okay, well, look, just to clarify, the figures they've made up, as you keep saying, which I don't believe they've made up, of course, I believe they're factual. The number of youth smokers in Ireland is rising for the first time in decades, from 13.1% in 2015 to 14.4% in 2019. Now, these are serious figures. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't believe them. And
You're entitled not to believe them. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that they're true. And let's say young people are starting to smoke again, unfortunately. What should we do about it? Is putting the price of a packet of cigarettes up to make it difficult for them to buy them, is that a good idea?
Niall,
Work
the
with me
fact of
here,
the
will
matter
you?
is, the fact of the matter, no, I can't work with you on that one. The fact of the matter is, Niall, I don't agree with their research that they came up with. And the fact of the matter is, this so-called self-elected government of Leo Martin and Ryan today are mad to bring in every restriction under the sun.
This has nothing to do with them. The government have said nothing. This is just the
On the
Irish
back of
Heart
Europe.
Foundation. No, this has nothing to do with Europe, nothing to do with the WEF, nothing to do with the World Health Organization, nothing to do with the man in the sky,
You hate-
nothing to do with George Soros or Bill Gates. It's
From
nothing to do with
Europe.
anybody.
It's all coming
It's
from
just
Europe.
the Irish Heart Foundation.
No, and the
I'm going to have a heart attack.
And the Irish Heart Foundation today, Niall, are absolutely run by the government, and the government are
gee,
going to
they're not
walk in
run
and say,
by the government.
We want you to put out the work report going so we can increase the price of smoking on people today and get away with it.
Why does everybody have to think there's a conspiracy theory behind everything?
Take it out on the older people, and that's what it. That's.
Do you smoke? Do you smoke?
I tried it once, Niall, and it nearly killed me. I don't mean it killed me. It just the smell of them and the whole thing of it just made me sick. I don't know. Maybe I
So
have
you've no skin in the game. So why not?
Which?
You've no skin in the game.
The fact of the matter is, Niall, choice is everything today. You know that I've said that to you many times.
Okay,
If
can
you
I
want-
choose to kill people? I can't.
Hang on, Niall. If you want to, as that lady said earlier on, if you want to eat red meat, if you want to smoke, that's your choice today.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And I would never agree with banning the likes of red meat. And by the way, again, I say to people, red meat is lovely. I love a nice steak. No one better to have a nice steak. I had one the other day. But in saying that, everything in moderation, because clearly, and the science is not out, the jury is not out, it's been proven that too much red meat, or indeed too much of anything, is not good for your heart.
Niall, I don't believe in any science that's out today. I have no...
Are you married to Pauline?
Any scientist of science that's out today. Look at the carry on with so-called climate change. When you see it being presented, you never get the two sides. You always get the narrow-minded
Why are we
side.
talking about climate change? We're talking about smoking. Let me go to Margaret.
just saying
Hang
it.
on, John. Let me go to
Just
Margaret.
today.
No, don't take me off on a tangent. I go mad. Well, hang on, John. Let me stick to cigarettes. Margaret, hi. Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Niall. How are you?
You're not going
How
to
are
start
you?
coming out with conspiracy theories as well, are you?
No, hold on a minute.
Jeez, couldn't be
I'll
dealing with
tell
it.
you. John,
Driven by
when
AI.
I'm speaking. Oh, John, when I'm speaking, keep your mouth closed, okay?
Oh, I
You
don't
might-
think
and
so.
you
Now,
might-
don't get too smart with
and-
me now, Margaret.
And you might
I
learn
won't be keeping my
something.
mouth shut for you now, by any means. I couldn't care less now.
John, just
Say
be
what you have to
respectful.
say and get on with it.
Jesus Christ.
Right. God bless me.
Imagine living with him. Imagine
Yeah,
living with him,
God
Margaret.
bless you, right?
No, I tell you, I'd be fucking killing myself.
Get on with what you have to say, Margaret. If you're that fucking...
Yeah, well, look, a bit
In a
of
hurry.
patience. first
Yeah, a
of
bit
all.
of manners down there.
Patience.
Yeah.
Patience
Yeah,
is
well,
a
I have
virtue.
manners when
He's
somebody's
not-
decent on the
He's
phone.
not women are never in men.
He's not going to stop.
And you certainly are an ignorant person. That's what you are.
Good. I'm delighted that you told me that. Now I'm so happy to hear that tonight.
Okay, thank you, John. Right, okay, we'll just lower him down for a second because I want to hear what you have to say, Margaret. Margaret, go
First
for it.
of all, I would agree with Bannon that inhaler thing, that they're all the children
vapes, the vapes.
Yeah, completely banning them. Second of all, I agree with €20 up to €25 for a packet of cigarettes. I have had lung cancer from smoking.
Mm-hmm.
I gave them up for over 3 years after my operation, and fool went back on them. And I have pneumonia at the moment. I started with a chest infection, and now it has turned into pneumonia.
Yeah, watch that. Keep an eye on that now, Margaret.
Tell me. Yeah, well, I'm on steroids and I'm on penicillin, antibiotics at the moment.
Yeah, I was on 2 courses of antibiotics. Yeah.
I never drank in my life, and it was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life by putting a cigarette into my mouth. And I'll tell you one thing, Niall. I will guarantee you within the next month, I will be off the cigarettes. They're killing me.
Really?
And I'm back to the cancer ward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you don't tell me, and no, John won't tell me that cigarettes are not bad. They are dangerous. They're killing people.
Why don't we give them up together, Margaret?
Yes, and I'll tell you one thing. If I had it back again, and hindsight's a great thing in everything in life, I'll tell you one thing. As I said, there is no way I would put a cigarette into my mouth. I never drank, and I hate to say I did smoke, because when I was in my 20s, I said, look at them, fucking idiots burning their money up smoking fags.
Mm.
And here I am, the fool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
So you still, by the way, are you still trying to smoke at the moment with your pneumonia?
No, I haven't been able to, Niall.
Okay.
I just kind of, I'm having hot flushes, I'm having cold flushes. Sometimes I'm just very weak. I live on my own, and, just trying to get over this.
Yeah.
But, the doctor said to me last week, you should be going to hospital. And I said, I'm not going to hospital because COVID's in the hospitals. And I said, if I got that, I wouldn't live. I've been told that, So, I mean, John, you can roar and shout and say what you like to me.
I'm not roaring and shouting.
And I think, you get hysterical on the phone instead of being a calmer person. You come across a lot better to listeners.
I'm not. Am I back on there?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. Margaret, I'm not roaring and shouting. I'm simply saying that's your choice to give up cigarettes. But at the end of the day, you have a self-elected government there of Leo, Martin and Ryan, who is out there, who is ready to ban anything that they disapprove of. And I disapprove of that today. And whether you have complications due to smoking, that's not anybody else's issue today, bar yours. Period.
No, hold on. Yes and no. People like Margaret, like myself, when we started smoking first, we didn't know the dangers, and then we get addicted, and then it was too late. So you can't blame people, particularly of the older generation, who started to smoke at a time when we didn't understand the health implications of cigarettes. Now, by education, we all know now, and unfortunately for Margaret, by her experience of getting lung cancer, we all know now how dangerous cigarettes are. So, John, any step, forget about the government, by the way. I haven't mentioned the government once. This has nothing to do with the government, right? This is a Heart Foundation who care about people's health. Any step we take to try and discourage people from doing that surely is a good thing, John.
No, it's not, because, again, it is actually controlling people's habits.
John.
It's controlling people's,
Well, I mean,
activities.
Yeah, but it's illegal to buy heroin for a reason, because we know it's dangerous. And if cigarettes didn't exist and somebody came along tomorrow and said, listen, I've got a great idea, put tobacco leaves in a piece of paper, stick it in your mouth and set it on fire, we would never legalise it, because we know, we're educated now, we know that's dangerous. It would have never been legalised. Do you understand?
No, the fact of the matter is, and Margaret and you and everybody on this radio tonight will know, when you grow up, you know the difference between right and wrong. If smoking is bad for you and you're finding it's not working out for you, you know whether to give her up or go on to something else,
not that
or
easy,
just
John.
not, engage with her whatsoever. So we know as adults what is right and wrong for us as we grow up. From teenager to adult life.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, Margaret, just respond.
Go ahead, yeah.
Sorry, John, just to let you know that in life, there's a straight road of path in life. And along the path of life, there may be a little bump every so often in your life that causes distress. It may cause, maybe the loss of a loved one.
And are you saying that's what?
No, well, let her finish.
smoking?
Let her finish,
No,
John, please.
Excuse me. And, when you're going through something really hard in your life, and I'll tell you one thing, when you smoke and you don't drink, the fag helps you. And I know that for a fact. And I'll tell you, John, you haven't a clue what it's like unless you go through it. And cancer is not the answer for any human being. And I'll tell you that it's the worst thing that was ever invented in this world. And too much of anything, as Niall said, is bad for you. Everything was in moderation. And of course, Ireland done the dog on alcohol for years. You couldn't go to have a christening without the booze having to be there. The booze flowing at weddings. The booze flowing at any
event, yeah.
It didn't make any difference. Oh, you ran the marathon. Oh, let's go and get a bite to eat, and then let's have a few jars after it. It was all around the alcohol. And then all the people then start getting liver cancer. I saw my own father, the way he died. It was cruel. It was absolutely cruel the way he died. It was horrible to look at.
Sorry, Margaret.
He blew up like a massive balloon. And that's what alcohol does to people. My poor mother finished nights on a Saturday morning, and she took a massive coronary on a Monday morning. She didn't get a chance of life. She was only 61 years of age. So you tell me, John, yes, we all have freedom of choice. Yes, I agree with you. But I'll tell you one thing. In this world, it's a cruel one. But you have to keep your head above water. You have to control your emotions. You have to control so much within you. But sometimes it's very, very hard. And I am giving up the cigarettes. As God is my judge this night, I haven't smoked for a week, and I don't intend to go back on them.
Good for you. Well, I said earlier on, Margaret, I'd bought cigarettes while I was away on holidays. Stupidly, that kind of thing. You get the duty-free cheap and you think you're great.
Yeah.
And now they're running out, so I only have a couple of packs left, and I have promised myself that I won't buy cigarettes, because when I walk into a shop and hand over 15 quid to damage my own health, I feel like a tick.
Yeah.
I feel stupid.
It's called a slow death.
Stay there. Well, stay there for a second. Let me just go to Eddie. Eddie, hi, how are you?
How are you, Niall? I thought there was a full moon tonight with the amount of Mickey Rooney's you had on there until Margaret came on and spoke a bit of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you know, I sell the odd few fags, right? I'm no bleeding Don Corleone, but getting back to the question, right? If you put them up to 20 quid, I'm trying to equate it in alcohol because I don't smoke, but I like to go out once a week on a Saturday and have a few pints. Now, if my pint is roughly €6.20, but if they come out tomorrow and say we're putting it up to €10, that would stop me drinking. So I think it would work for a lot of people Because at the end of the day, with the price of living, sometimes you have to draw the line and go, Jesus Christ, I better give this up. You know, and if you put a price of 20 fags up to 20 quid, there would be a lot of people that would be forced financially to give it up.
But
on the flip side of that,
yeah, there is a flip side. Yeah,
there would also be a lot of people that would go to the likes of me to get dodgy fags, to get a cheaper fix. Now, I think weighing it up, there would be a lot more that would give up than a lot more that would go and try get a cheaper alternative.
But
you know
but I'm also worried about those who are on, say, lower incomes, might have a couple of kids. And I mentioned earlier on, you know, single mum, maybe with 2 or 3 kids. She's maybe on a welfare payment, I don't know. And she smokes. And you put the cigarettes
addiction,
up. Yeah, if she has an addiction, she's not going to give up the cigarettes.
She will. No, she'll cut out essentials.
Yeah, so there'll be less food on the table. There'll be less shoes on the kids' feet.
Because
that's the
when
problem.
you're addicted to something, that comes first. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to say to John there, not two people on this earth are the same. And he's trying to say that was your choice. But if we can stop people starting in the first place that will end up addicted by putting the price up, surely that's the better thing.
Yeah.
You know?
You have to cut your cloth to meet your measure. And
See, this is what I'm trying to say to John. Anything at all that would reduce the amount of people that will start smoking, John, is a good thing.
Can I get back in there now?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Okay, to your 2 callers that you have there, the fact of the matter is that you can't control your habits. It's not the responsibility of anybody else.
No, and we agree with that, John. But what we're trying to say is, if we can...
No, hang on. Eddie, let him finish. Let me
say this as well. If the government gets away with banning cigarettes, e-cigarettes, they will be out there banning alcohol. They'll be out there banning something else, and they'll be out there banning something else, because it doesn't agree with their liberal agenda. So you don't allow this government to ban anything.
So but hang on, nobody's mentioned banning anything, by the way. Where are you getting this banning from? They're just suggesting putting them up to a price that discourages people from using them.
Nothing's been banned.
What are you talking about, Jack?
Nothing's been banned. They're just making it harder to...
The fact of the matter is the Heart Association wants young people to stop smoking, period.
Yes, of course they do.
They don't want them ever smoke.
Yes, of course they do. That's right. And is that a bad thing, John?
Good thing.
That's a good thing.
No, the fact of the matter is that's interfering with a person.
Would you stop fucking saying the fact of the matter?
I noticed that too, by the way.
You know what I'm saying?
The fact of the matter, John, is there's nothing wrong with discouraging young people from smoking, because the fact of the matter is they'll continue to smoke for the rest of their lives, and the fact of the matter is it'll affect their health.
The fact of the matter is, if you know something's affecting your health, you are in that position to go to a doctor and say, right, I'll stop tomorrow, or I'll cut down on it. The fact of the matter is, the responsibility of your health is your health, not anybody else.
We know that, but do you not think putting the price of cigarettes up to €20 will cut people down on starting? You don't.
No, because it's affecting people out there who have restraint and who probably don't smoke as much. So the one who's out there who's not buying fag after fag after fag has to pay the same amount of money as somebody out there who is. So at the end of the day,
the people that are the next generation that are about to start, that are growing up. Hold on. The next generation that are 13 and 14 and they're starting out in life and they're about to pick up a bad habit, i.e. smoking or drinking, and all of a sudden this habit is beyond their reach financially. Do you not think that's a good thing because they won't start?
No. It's interfering with a person's democratic choice in life.
It's not, but no, it's not. Nobody's saying they're banning them. It's not interfering with their choice. They can still choose to go out and smoke and spend their money on it. Ridiculous amount of money all the same, but they can still choose to do it.
Behind it.
How much, by the way, how much are the dodgy cigarettes, Eddie?
Sorry?
How much is a pack?
That's the whole idea behind
Okay, hang on, John. Hang on.
So I will sell you 200 John Player Blue, proper John Player Blue, for €85. Whereas in the shop, I think it's about 16 quid a pack, so you're paying over 160 quid. So you're getting 50% off.
Oh, sorry, Margaret.
I was going to say, John, nobody mentioned the government in this.
No, John is the only one mentioned the government.
Before budget day, lots of different groups of people go and meet the government to make suggestions, we'll say, about battered wives or whatever.
Yeah.
And the Heart Foundation goes in every year, and the same with the group of people who talk about alcoholics, AA, and all those groups of people.
They make submissions.
They make suggestions to the government to increase the pint, we'll say, by 5 cents, to increase cigarettes, add on another €5. It has cost the state millions every year, with people getting cancer from smoke.
Yeah, healthcare costs a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot more learned people than you or I or John make these decisions.
Just a minute. It's costing millions of euro for people going in with alcohol disease.
Yeah.
So, you have to look at a lot of those statistics that are there, and they have been proven. And also that, yes, we all have freedom of choice. And we try to turn around that mistake we have made in our life. Now, for me, I got the cancer. And for me, I had a chest infection, and now I have pneumonia. So that's telling me, serious something going on in me, because I end up having to go back to cancer.
Okay, so, sorry, Martin has just texted in and says, Niall, Eddie is morally bankrupt. Why have you not called him out on it? I'll tell you why, because I called him out on it before. We had this conversation before, Martin, where I did call Eddie out on what he was doing, selling his cigarettes. So there's no point me going through that again, that conversation.
Yeah, 100%. You're right to call me out.
Well, we've done that. We've had that conversation before.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, you do understand that people listening think you're a little bit of a hypocrite. So I mean, that's the point.
I'm 100% a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% a hypocrite.
Because on one hand, you're pretending you're saying you care about people and you care about their health and you care about the amount of people that are smoking. But on the other hand, you're selling them. You're selling them.
I'm not saying I care about people. I'm saying what the government are doing, I personally think, would cut down people starting smoking if you put it out of the reach of young teens.
Yeah, but as you rightly said, they'd come to you then.
Yeah, they come to me. And look,
how many you sell? By the way, how many you sell a week? Remind me again. How many do you sell?
Jesus, not many, no, for Christ's sake. Like I said, I'm no bleeding gangster. Just a couple. I mean, if someone's going on holiday that doesn't smoke, I'll say, can you get me a few fags? And they'll get a little earner out of it, and then I'll sell them on and I'll make a little earner. Not a lot, But I mean, it's just.
You're not one of these people who comes back with a suitcase full of them or anything like that.
No. I used to do that for years when I lived in the UK. I used to actually pay a fella to come on holiday with me, little Scouse fella, Joey the Rat. I used to get him to come on holiday with me with a suitcase, and he'd fill it up and I'd fill mine up, and we'd make a few bob.
And did you ever get caught?
Yeah, I got caught towards the end, and then I had to stop doing it.
So, did you get? I mean, when you get caught with that amount, obviously it's a huge issue. Did you get fined or conviction?
I would have had 40 slaves, so that's like 8,000, and he had 40 slaves, and just fucking cheap L&M or whatever the local brand. But I mean, fags sell. It doesn't matter what you have; people will buy them. Yep. That's my point.
There's a lot of people selling those ones you see in town now. These are kind of counterfeit cigarettes.
The amber leaf and everything, yeah.
But some of them are not even real. They're made. There's like horse shit in all of them.
Full of fucking shite. Yeah, they're the dregs of fucking whatever's in them. But people buy it and people will smoke it. They'll always find a cheaper alternative.
But here's the thing: I couldn't sit easy with myself if I was selling cigarettes to other people. I think that's the point Martin wanted me to make to you. But I couldn't do what you're doing.
I totally agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But I'm making a few bob. If they don't come to me, they'll just go somewhere else. But what I will say is I'm not selling shite. It's all real. It's all real stuff.
Okay, but hang on. Let me go to Catherine as well just before I go to the break. Catherine, hi. How are you?
Hi, Niall. I'm just listening there. As a matter of fact, I'm 76 years of age. And... What's he laughing?
I have no idea. Go on.
No, as a
matter of fact.
As a matter of fact. As a matter of fact, yeah, go on.
Yeah, did you not get it?
I did, yeah. As a matter of fact, go on.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm smoking since I was 18 and I'm 76. And I know what the other people have said about, heart trouble, and I mean, I had 9.5 hour heart surgery in 2001. That's 22 years ago, and I'm still smoking.
Yeah.
You know, and that chap that sells them, you know, I might go to maybe 15 to 20. We see.
Where do you buy them, in the shop, or do you buy them off somebody local, or what?
I buy them in the shop, but now there's often times in Ireland, that chap that's on there, I'd often buy the cheap.
Yeah. And how would you feel if they went up to 20 quid a pack? Would it discourage you from wanting to smoke?
I'd find it very, very difficult. I live on my own. I'm not condoning, I'm not saying anything like that, but I would still find a way of getting them.
Yeah, you heard Margaret before you there, you know, she ended up with lung cancer, and she still went back on the cigarettes.
I have two replacement bulbs.
Yeah.
Noel, may I say, if the whole country stopped smoking and I didn't make a shilling, I'd be delighted. I'd be over the bloody moon. Yeah. Because I'm into my fitness, you know?
I mean, I'm not sure that chap is saying, well, I'm going to kill them. I don't agree with the younger. I wish, like you, Niall, and the whole lot, went back to the younger age and being informed about them.
I'm hardly young, Catherine, by the way, can I just point out?
Pardon?
I'm hardly young.
Noel, I won't be the fags that'll get you.
No,
It's that fucking Red Bull.
You said if you had known in your younger time, the dangers.
Yeah, when I was at the doctor recently, I was mentioning the Red Bull, and he asked me how many I was drinking, and I said, well, 3 or 4 a day. He says, I'm surprised you're not diabetic at this stage.
Yeah, I am actually.
Yeah, but I'm not actually. My blood's getting back all fine, and my sugar levels were fine, surprisingly enough, considering I drink 3 or 4 cans of Red Bull a day. Margaret, listen, thank you very much indeed. Margaret, me and you are giving up smoking, okay?
Yes, that's the pack.
Catherine, will you give them up with us?
No, I'm not going to say yes.
Okay, no, that's good. No, I would never force you. And maybe I'd just stop selling too.
I go back regularly. I know you're going on a break. I go regularly back to my cardiologist. I've never had a chest infection, lung infection, thank God. Maybe because I don't inhale them down to my toes. I just barely kind of, just...
Yeah, you know what I'm a devil for doing? Smoking half of it and throwing it away.
Damn me. I've never, stabbed a cigarette and light it again, never.
Yeah, no, I would never do that because the smell is disgusting. Okay, me and Margaret are going to give cigarettes up, by the way. If anybody wants to join us, you're quite welcome. We'll start the challenge in a couple of weeks' time, or, well, in a week or two, when I get rid of the last of these duty-free cigarettes. I know you're going to say to me, no, why don't you just start it now and throw away the duty-free? That's easier said than done when I'm staring at them every day, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I will tell you, and what we'll do is we'll get somebody on the air to talk about giving up smoking and all that kind of thing, and we'll make an effort, a group effort to give up smoking. And we'll some of you can text and WhatsApp in every night and tell us how you're getting on and were you tempted that day, etc., etc., etc. And I'll tell you I'll do a little diary on the air every night and tell you my temptations. Because I can tell you, my wife used to smoke. She gave them up 14 years ago. And she said to me the other day, we were talking about it, she said, even now, the smell of a cigarette, she said, is so powerful that makes her want to have a cigarette, even though she's 14 years off them. That's how powerful the addiction is. It lasts that long. It lasts forever. But look, you can do it. People have done it. Loads of people have given them up. We can all do it. So let's do it together.
Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.